Senor
Man, how you doing?
Fernandez, how are we?
Do we do the interview in English or in Spanish?
We could try Spanish, but I don't think it'd last very long. I think we'll just stick with Buenos Dias and leave it at that, to be honest, on the Spanish front. How are you getting on with lockdown life? Get to know your family a lot better, I'd imagine.
Um, yeah, it's good in terms of like you 24/7 with family pretty much, but it's hard because I'm normally kind of like I am in the house pretty much like a whole day since like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, and I probably don't get home till like there is days of like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So, but a bit crazy. Just try to be kind of like indoors, try to do something.
How's your wife finding it then, like having you around so much?
And I try to keep the distance though.
Yeah, social distancing from your spouse.
That's what I am in the garden now.
I don't blame you. Are you keeping in contact with the boys while all this is going on? How are they kind of handling it?
Yeah, I'll keep in contact with them. From next week we're just trying to put a plan. So if they got kind of like a bag or anything, available to them, I kind of like Skype them, and see what they're doing. Send the runs over to them, what they have to do, and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes they send me videos, which is good, but it's hard. It really is hard. But you have to make the most of it.
How many are you working with at the moment? You've obviously got Ohara.
Charles
Yeah.
and Josh.
Okay, so they're all,
Well,
all
and
based.
Sultan.
Yeah, I was going to say, is Sultan
Yeah.
back home?
Yes, Sultan is still in Kazakhstan because the flights and everything,
Lockdowns,
with
yeah.
this coronavirus is a bit crazy.
How are they all coping with it from kind of a mental perspective? It must be driving them pretty crazy by this point.
It's hard, and just like also as well, kind of like keep the motivation, when you're training by yourself, you haven't got anyone there next to you, kind of like pushing you or do it this way, or that way. It's hard, but I mean, to be honest, Charles just lost his grandmom, so he just like kind of like anemically is picking up a bit more. Ohara again is just kind of like just been lying in sofa playing the PlayStation, eating chocolate and all that stuff. But now he's just got back into a routine, and Sultan is a fit boy. Sultan is always pretty much doing any training, runnings, up in Kazakhstan. So they're all somehow coping.
Have you been in contact a lot with some of your extended family back home? Obviously, Spain's not doing too well out of this, same as we're not. They're terrible.
Yeah, I tend to kind of like, just like not Skype call. I think it's like an app that is called a house party, something like that.
Yeah.
And we just kind of like we all talk each other, see how things. But up there it really is crazy. It's actually proper lockdown. If they see you on the street, just doing like a walk, they'll stop you. They find you. You're only allowed to go to the supermarket. You only allowed as well just come out of the house if you have a dog, only for like a amount of time. It's pretty crazy, up there.
Let's talk about some of your fighters. Starting with Josh, obviously. Starting with Charlie, in fact, because he's the most recent addition to the team. How did that all come about that he moved over to your gym?
I think Charles. I think he something, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what actually happened because I don't like really to kind of like ask questions or anything like that. By the time they contact me, he wasn't with any coach. We've been kind of like training 2-3 sessions together just to see how things were going. And then I just like what he had and he liked what I was doing to him. So fair play, and I'm really looking forward to the future with him.
What about Josh? What's the kind of future for him? What's the next step in his career when all this madness is over?
Joshua. Well, everybody knows that he's Pulev.
But is that still likely to go ahead on June the 20th?
I would have thought so. I mean, there's been, the news in Sky Sports. I think they're trying to kind of like postpone the fight to July. But it's something that those sort of questions, I never really kind of like ask them, or when we go, or they just like listen, let me know. They let me know, and then we really go from there.
We talked to you before about kind of balancing your own boys with the work you do with
Yeah,
Joshua, and you were saying it's very rare that they'll have fights around the same time. This massive delay caused by the coronavirus means a
yeah,
bottleneck is a lot more likely now. How are
yeah.
you kind of planning to manage that?
I've got two coaches. I've got Barry and I've got Will. So we're planning to kind of like get together. Just like build a team and make things about the team. Not make things about the individual. And that's something that I've been telling the boys. There is going to be times where am I going to have to go with this guy, and then but that's where we all come as a team, and I don't want kind of like any of the guys kind of like training with another coach and say, oh, but Angel does it this way or I do it that way. It's kind of like you have to kind of like take what I'm teaching you, take what the other guy is teaching you, and trust, the people in the team. And it's something that we put in the table and they're all happy about. So yeah, it will work well.
I suppose if you've selected those people in the team initially, they have a similar mindset to you, if not entirely identical.
Yes. I mean, they very kind of like hard workers. They're willing to learn. I'm willing to learn as well. I'm learning from Will. I'm learning from Barry, and they all kind of like they all bring their own style as well, because it's not really kind of like making everybody doing exactly the same thing. It's just kind of like we have to adjust to the fighters. And make the most for it, make the best for them, not for us really.
Have you been in touch with Josh? Because I imagine during this period, there's kind of a little bit of extra pressure on him to be like a public face of boxing, if you like. I imagine there's still a lot of demands on him.
Yeah, I was still in touch, with everybody, all my fighters, sometimes like voice notes or like a message here or just like a bit of a joke, which I did to him the other day, the same joke I done to you.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I love that.
With the parrot.
Yeah. Don't give it away because you're probably going to want to do it at some other people soon.
So yeah, I'll keep in touch with everybody. He's well. His family's well, which is good. But unfortunately, they lost Finchley. Like the main guy, up there due to coronavirus. So people needs to understand the seriousness of this matter. Because there is people still up there that kind of like thinking that this is not serious. So yeah, they all keep him well, and that's the main thing.
That hit him quite hard, the loss of the Finchley coach.
Yeah, I mean, he was a love man, up there at Finchley. A lot of people like the man, and it's hard, especially for those people kind of like close to him. Losing your loved ones, due to this pandemic is not a good thing to to actually feel that close to you. You never want that to happen to anybody, but. Phew.
You've got Ohara, of course. He's got the Golden Contract final. Is it
Yeah.
kind of reassuring that one of your fighters has got a definite fight in the books? You haven't got a date, obviously, or a venue, but you know that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Ohara would definitely fight. I mean, Joshua would definitely fight, and Charles as well. We was looking to put Charles in June as well, or like maybe May. Now I need to probably speak to Dave Coble just to see when he's going to fight. But the good thing is kind of like with Ohara, he's got that kind of like final day, so he just like we have been already working pretty much. Since I start working with him, in terms of like what we needed to do. So it's pretty much like a follow up of what we've been doing. And we know he's got that day, he's just kind of like getting the actual day and then the plan together. With Charles, he's still stepping up. So he will probably be doing like a 4-rounder. And then with Josh, and most likely it's probably going to be Pulev.
O'Hara's obviously stopped both opponents in the Golden Contract tournament so far. Given your relationship still relatively new, would you have liked him to have had more rounds, perhaps?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's kind of like mainly what I never kind of like went to him and said, "Listen, we're going to get a KO." I always kind of like try to keep him cautious about for it, and you can see that the man. He's got some toughness on him, and I think Ohara somehow took him lightly. But then, kind of like after the fight, Ohara did say that kind of like he was pretty quick to come kind of like from the previous fight into this fight, and he was pretty kind of like overwhelmed in terms of like mentally and physically. He wasn't really kind of like sharp. So now he had the rest, which is good, and hopefully we'll have like a good solid camp, and I look forward to it.
Through your work with AJ, do you think there might be some opportunities for some of your other fighters to work alongside him to kind of get an idea of how someone at that level trains?
This is really kind of like something to Joshua. I mean, I kind of like when I train Charles, I mean, Ohara is not around. When I train Ohara, Charles is not around. And when I train Joshua, none of the other guys are around. But yes, they can see each other, at times. Like, I mean, Joshua saw Charles, while he was training. Same thing with Ohara, but they don't interfere with each other. I mean, if one comes, pretty much the other one is finishing. Right. So they only tend to see that, like 10, 15, or even 20 or 30 minutes. So I don't tend to train them like all together at once.
Do you find, though, that you're translating things from one side to the other? So things that you're doing around Joshua or his team, then bringing back to your own gym?
Of course, you're always kind of like learning from everybody, I'm a person that I like to see kind of like the coaches that are doing well, and why they're doing so good, and just try to pick, things here and there. But same thing with the older school. I watch a lot of the older school, I'm kind of like reading a book at the moment. So you kind of like pick things from everybody. It's not one way or this way. It's always kind of like something new, or not really new, but something that you can apply to that particular boxer, So definitely, yes, I learn from everybody, regardless of the experience, regardless of kind of like how many years they've been in boxing, if they've been a professional or if they've been an amateur. You got to kind of like, everybody has got something to offer.
Are you kind of content with the size of your stable as it stands, or is there room for any more? What's kind of the thinking there?
I always said kind of like I never kind of like wanted more than 5 person really. I've got one or maybe 2 more persons, and that the team just like would definitely be closed. But then again, maybe with the other 2 coaches, if they want to kind of like bring somebody else themselves, and just kind of like be the main man, for them, probably. But at the moment in my head, it's just like 5 people, especially kind of like where Joshua is at the moment. Is a stage where when he goes on camp, we have to be pre-focused on him. Same thing with Ohara, not so much with Charles, but he's been this 20 years old, kid that he's been in the books for me for a very long time, and we try to bring him into the country. I mean, I'm not going to say too much about him, but hopefully we'll be with us pretty soon. And I mean, as I said, always like 4 to 5 max, and give our time to them.
You didn't have much time at Loughborough University before all this happened, but so far, how have you found the facilities and the setup there?
I mean, it is amazing. I'm really kind of like thankful. I can't thank enough like Rich and Joe for everything they've been doing for me. I mean, the facilities are absolutely second to none up there. All the boys saw the facilities as well, and it kind of like what we can have as well. It's not just like boxing itself, is what they can do on the outside, and be around other athletes as well, see how other people are, what they're going through, what they're training. So kind of like when we in camp, be up there, I think is a good thing, rather than just kind of like have your friends around and just be till 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning playing the PlayStation or something like that, because boxing is a serious sport, and keeping them in there, it allows me to kind of like keep an eye on them. So hopefully we will take the best out of them.
Now you kind of split your time between excellent facilities at Loughborough, excellent facilities in Sheffield. You've come a long way in a short time, I think it's fair to say. You must be pretty happy with how it's gone.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy how things are going, but it's one of these things, Danny, that a lot of people kind of like tend to see just the good side of things. They never saw kind of like where I came from, because I absolutely came from nothing. And I'm telling you, when I come from nothing, is I came from nothing. I've been doing my groundwork, like with the likes of Danny Connor. I used to drive 2 hours to East London for nothing. I mean, my personal training was allowing me to pay for the petrol and pay the bills just to me to keep doing boxing. I've been with Marcus Williams as well. I've been training him for like well over a year with no fights, for some reason or for political reasons. And I had a lot of people like that as well, like Isaac Chamberlain, hasn't been fighting for over a year, but I was training these guys day in, day out, giving my time to them for I've been sucked pretty much in a boxing gym in London. Then I went to another one. I made a camp for this guy, and he comes fight night, and someone goes, "Oh no, I'm jumping in the corner as a main man." And I'm like, so I've been training this guy for all his camp, and now you do that to me. But so that's things that kind of like makes me the person who I am today. And listen, I'm thankful, because I can't hate them. I'm thankful for them for giving me the opportunity and to actually kind of like see other things of of boxing, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to me.
Yeah, well, I would think so, like you said, and especially the boxers as well, because a lot of them scrabbled around, often having to pay for their own purse or pay for the purse of their opponent to even get on bills. So I'm sure they can appreciate the kind of hard work you've put in to get to where you are.
100%. We all got dreams. I got my own dreams, but I try to make them about them. It's something that I always said. I want to make legacy in this game. And I'm willing to make legacy, but no legacy just for my own ego, to feed my own ego. It's just kind of like I want to see other people. Other people that kind of like came from nothing, and see I saw that man, but not just me. Other coaches and other boxers, and they go, you know what? If this man did it, I want to do as well. And that's what legacy is about. It's kind of like inspire the young generation, and other people that kind of like come from nothing, and they don't have anything, or they don't have hopes, and see these people doing well, and they go, you know what? I'm actually going to do the same, or do something for my life. Either boxing, football, basketball, handball, regardless, anything. So
That's excellent. Well, I think that's a good point on which to end. A nice positive point in these scary times, 100%. To be fair.
Poof, it is pretty scary, but listen, I think this thing is making a lot of people realize, how kind of like thankful you have to be for life, and for the people that you have surround you, and yeah, you got to keep positive, and to everybody, you got to keep positive. I know it's not sometimes, life throws you kind of like in the middle of the kind of like lines, but you somehow have to, come out of it and say, you know what, listen, I appreciate all these things, and you got to be thankful for where we are now.
Yeah, well, let's do this again soon in person.
100%.
I love Loughborough University. It's a lovely campus, so I'm happy.
Come anytime, Danny. Anytime up there.
Well, except when you're in Sheffield, because then I'll just be there.
Well, it's only 40 minutes away, so
I suppose, yeah, I could do both on the same day. Right, well, I really appreciate it, and we'll speak soon.
Take care, Danny.
Parrots.
All the best.
Take care, mate.
Take care, mate. All the best.